Guys, welcome to the Florida Treasure Coast Market Update. Today we're going to answer the question, how much is my home worth now compared to 5 years ago? Stay with me.
You better get fired up!
Guys, happy Wednesday, man. We got a big old storm coming through, huh? Isn't that fun? It looks like it's going to go straight north. It's not going to come anywhere near us. But if you're really looking at it, man, and especially with what we saw a few days ago here in the heart of the city, there's a good chance we're going to see some pretty good flooding. So I'll tell you, it's pushed me to look into flood insurance. I'm probably going to do it. I think it's, taught me a little bit more about, preparation. I'm going to get teased about this from people who've lived in Florida forever. But really, just pay attention, especially if you're in one of those areas that really flooded out. The ground is already saturated. Now we're going to get a new dumping of water on us. I've read 2 to 4 inches. So just be ready for it, right? Today, I want to answer the question of what is my home worth now compared to 5 years ago. And this is going to be perfect, but it's going to give you an idea of kind of where you're at. And I want you to see exactly how I come up with this and the process that we use to get these numbers. So let's go entire screen, share. All right, so you should be able to see my screen right now, and this is the MLS. This is what we as realtors use to put your home on the market when you go to sell, and then it goes out to all the websites, right? I'm talking Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, Realtor, eXp Realty, Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker, Remax. Anybody who's got a website that you can go to, and it shows you what your home is worth, that's what this website is the base of. This is where it all starts, right? So we're going to come in, and I'm going to look up Port St. Lucie. And we're going to go to single family homes, and we're going to look at anything that is sold in the last, let's go 30 days. So we got 25 days here in September. Let's go grab 5 more days in August. Oop, but we got to go 24. 25 plus 27, 28, 29, 30. Okay, so that's good. So 31 days. So how many homes we got? We've got a grand total of 364. I can see it right up here. So the median number is going to be 182, 183. So let's put these in order. And you can see they're numbered in the column on the left here. So we're going to come down to 182, 183. We're going to take the average of those two. And that's going to be our median sales price of single family homes in Port St. Lucie in the last 30 days. So it's 419 and 419, 390. So I'm going to say 419. Well, let's do this exactly. 150 plus 45 is 195. 419, 195. That is today's median sales price for single family homes in Port St. Lucie. Now, let's go back to edit search. And all we're going to do is we're going to bring this back 5 years. Okay. So we had 431 sales then. So the median of that is going to be what? 215, 216? Yep, 216. So let's come down to number 216. Bum, 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 bum. We got to get some elevator music for when I'm doing this. All right, 216. We've got 244. Isn't that wild? 244. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to take my trusty calculator, which I think you guys should be able to see, and I'm going to take 419, 195 minus 244. Isn't that crazy? That was a median house back then. And you're looking at 175, 195. Now I've got to divide that into 244, and that is 71.8%. So that means that whatever you purchased your home for, it's likely worth roughly 71.8% more now. Isn't that amazing, right? Now, on top of that, you've got to add in the mortgage payoff that you've got. So let's do another. Let's share screen here and do the entire screen. And what I want to do now is look at a typical mortgage. Let's go mortgage amortization calculator. Let's see if this sucker works. Okay, so if you bought a home for 244, the most common loan I'm seeing is an FHA with 3.5% down. So that would mean that your loan was, excuse me, 235, 460. So if I put in here 235, 460 and we do it over 30 years, and your interest rate, let's go look at what interest rates were. Average interest rates in September of 2019. It's crazy what you can do with Google, man. The average interest rate for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage was 3.65%. Okay, let's just use that. At 3.65%, calculate. And we want to look for 5 years later. Okay, so you can see in year one, you're paying $85.21 towards interest and $44.04 towards principal. And for those of you who don't know what an amortization schedule is, man, banks are smart. They're smarter than you think they are. They aren't just running the numbers the way you would think they are. You can look over here and you can see that that's not a good depiction. Yeah, I'm probably not going to get it. They put the interest up front heavy, and then the principal payments are heavy on the back end, right? So if you keep it for 30 years, yes, your interest rate here as an example is 3.65%, but if you keep it for 5 years, 10 years, and you run the number, the interest rate on that, it's going to be much higher because they front load all the interest, right? And that's no accident. So anyway, after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, your ending balance is $211,740. Okay, so this $235,460, that's the amount that you took out in a mortgage minus $211,740. You've got $23,720 in equity. I'm gonna write that down. $23,720 in equity. On top of that, you've got the $419,195 is what it's currently worth, minus the $244. You've got another $175,195 in equity plus the $23,720. You're looking at almost exactly $200,000 in equity you've got. If you bought a medium price home 5 years ago, you've lived in it ever since. You had a 3.65% interest rate. You've been making normal payments, no additional payments, right? And now we're looking at 5 years later with a typical increase in this market. You're looking at $200,000. That means when you get to closing, you're going to walk with a, not just a 6-figure check, but a fat 6-figure check. It's going to be nice. A lot of people aren't aware of this. So if you're in a position where you could downsize and you could take some of that cash and it would be useful to you, and you don't even have to sell. Sometimes you can do a home equity line of credit, or it's called a HELOC, HELOC, home equity line of credit. Those things can help you too. Now, I'm not a big debt fan. I'm very conservative when it comes to financials. If I'm talking to you like I'd be talking to my daughters, or like I'd be running my own, business or personal budget, I'd say don't take out debt unless you absolutely need to. Cut as much as you can, make money as much as you can, and then if you've got to take on debt, that's kind of a last resort. But $200,000 is crazy. That's nuts. And if you're maybe 20% lower, let's say you didn't buy a home for $244, you bought it for $200. At $200,000 and it going up, 71.8%, there's a good chance it's worth $333,600 right now. That's wild. That's wild. And maybe you don't have $200,000. Maybe you've got $160,000 in equity. That's a lot. So I share all this because I want you to see that having that equity, number one, if you're a renter, really think about that. Having that equity changes what you're able to do. It changes the leverage in your life. It changes what your plan B is and how scary financial hurdles, these surprises we get throughout our lives, how scary are they really if we've got all these different options because we've got equity in our house? If you rent, you're still making that monthly payment. You're still making the electric payment and the air conditioning and the garbage and the, whatever. And if you're not, and your landlord is, well, it's rolled into your rent. You're paying it one way or the other. But you don't have that equity buildup. You don't have that fat 6-figure check when you leave. Instead, you get your $1,500 deposit that you paid. So, of course, I'm a salesman. I'd love to sell you a house. But at the end of the day, I just want to see people get the heck out of a rental and get into a position where they own a house, right? Get a turd. Get an ugly house with an old wallpaper that's, peeling at the edges. Just buy, own. And in 5-6 years like this, now this is a ridiculous market we've been in. You're not going to see this every 5-year span, right? In fact, let's look up average housing housing value increase annually. That's a horrible way to word that, but let's see what it says. The average annual increase in housing values in the United States varies, but it's been around 4 to 5% in recent years. And I think 4 to 5% is a pretty common number. That makes sense, right? It should go up with wages inflation. Wages and inflation tend to go up 3 to 5%. So that completely makes sense. So in a normal year, let's just say 4.5%. If you would have bought that home for $244, and it wasn't these ridiculous years that we've seen, times 1.045 times 1.045. I'm going to do this 5 times. After 5 years, your 244 would be 304. So you would have 60,000. Come on, Joe. Plus the 23 you've paid down, you'd be 85 grand in equity. That's in normal years, a normal 5-year span. So I really just want to drive home, man. If you are a renter and I have any influence over you, I'm telling you, man, get out of that renting situation. If you think, hey, I can't do it with my credit, we can fix most credit issues within a month, 2 months, 3 months. That's not a problem. That's the easiest thing, honestly, to fix. Joe, I don't have the cash. You do have cash. You got to have first, last, and deposit to get into a rental, right? You can borrow money from family members as gifts. You can talk the seller through negotiation into helping you with closing costs. There's all kinds of negotiated things that you can do. So money may not be a problem. The monthly, you're paying a monthly right now. You're renting, right? There are ways to get a similar monthly in a house that you own. So let's look at what those options are. Worst thing I'm going to tell you if you call me is, hey, listen, this probably doesn't make financial sense for you, but if you spend the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, whatever it is, doing ABC, this could happen, and then that could be something that works out for you. But don't wait. Don't wait. This sounds like I'm pitching something at midnight on one of those weird channels that nobody watches. I want people to quit renting. That's what I want. And it's not because I'm anti-rent and I'm pro-owning. It's because I understand the math and I want you all to be strong financially. That's just what I want. That's what I want. That's why I'm in this business, man. It makes me feel good to help people. It's not just buying 4 walls and a roof. It's literally changing your future wealth. It's changing your family dynamic. It's changing how your kids live their life. It's crazy. All right, I'm going to get off my high horse. Have an amazing day. Thanks for joining me. We're here every single Wednesday at 11 o'clock where we look at something in the Treasure Coast market, giving you more information. Guys, have a great day.